Dear brothers and sisters, please be in Anjali position. Let us pay respect to Ajahn Dton by bowing 3 times. First bow. Second bow. Third bow. We will now recite Namo Tassa 3 times together. Please recite after me. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Matyam Phante Ti Saranena Saha Atha Panja Silani Yajama. Tutiyampi Matyam Phante Ti Saranena Saha Atha Panja Silani Yajama. Tatiyampi Matyam Phante Ti Saranena Saha Atha Panja Silani Yajama.
Okay, so repeat after me. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Tang saranang kacchami.
Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi.
Dhammang saranang kacchami.
Dhammang saraṇaṃ gacchāmi.
Sanghang saranang kacchami.
Sanghang saraṇaṃ gacchāmi.
Yampi putthaṃ saranang kacchami.
Tutiyampi buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi.
Yampi dhammang saranang kacchami.
Tutiyampi dhammang saraṇaṃ gacchāmi.
Yampi sanghang saranang kacchami.
Tutiyampi sanghang saraṇaṃ gacchāmi.
Tatiyampi putthaṃ saranang kacchami.
Tatiyampi buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi.
Tatiyampi dhammang saranang kacchami.
Tatiyampi dhammang saraṇaṃ gacchāmi.
Tatiyampi sanghang saranang kacchami.
Tatiyampi sanghang saraṇaṃ gacchāmi.
Sarana kamanang nittitaṃ.
Amma ante.
Pānātipātā veramani sikkhapaдаṃ samādhiyāmi.
Pānātipātā
Veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami.
Adinnathānā veramani sikkhapadaṃ samādhiyāmi.
Adinādānā veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyāmi.
Kāmesu micchācārā veramani sikkhapadaṃ samādhiyāmi.
Kāmesu micchācāra veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami.
Musāvātā veramani sikkhapadaṃ samādhiyāmi.
Musāvādā veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyāmi.
Surāmeraya maccapamātatthānā veramani sikkhapadaṃ samādhiyāmi.
Surameraya maccapamātatthānā veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyāmi.
Mani Vika for the 8th precept. Brahmacharya veramani sikkhapadaṃ samādhiyāmi.
Brahmacharya veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyāmi.
วิกาลโภชนาเวรมณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิ
วิกาลโภจนาเวรมณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิ
นัตถิตะวัชิตะวิสุปทัสสนามาลาคันทะวิเลปนะธารณะมันดนะวิภูสนัฏฐานาเวรมณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิ
นาจากิตักวาดิตักวิสุกัดดักษนามาลากันทักวิเลปักนักภารนักมันดักนักวิภุสักนักขานาเวรมณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิ
อุจจาสยนะมหาสยนาเวรมณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิ
ปูจักสยนะมหาสยนะเวรมณีสิกขาปะทังสมาธิยามิ
อิมานิปัญจ
อัฏฐสิกขาปดานิสมาธิยามิอิมานิอัฏฐสิกขาปดานิสมาธิยามิอิมานิอัฏฐสิกขาปดานิสมาธิยามิ
สีเลนะสุขติงยันติสีเลนะโภคสัมปทาสีเลนะนิพุติงยันติตัสมาสีลังวิโสทะเย
สาธุสาธุสาธุ We will now make a formal request for Dhamma Talk. Please recite together if you know so. Brahma Jaloka Hikpakti Sahang Pakti Kaktan Jalian Hikwagrang Ayajakpa San thi hak sakta Pak rakja khak jatika He se thu thang mang Anukang pik mang pak jiang
นะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะพุทธังธัมมังสังฆัง Okay, so good morning again, everybody. So today is special. It's not today. Yesterday. Yesterday was one pra, or the special day in the Thai tradition. We call it the Sat Thai. Sat is like the ceremony where people come to the monastery and dedicate. Usually they're making the marriage and then dedicate to the departure one, the ancestor. There's a belief that this one part, just the one before the out of the rain season, there was they call the hell gate is open, so our ancestor will have a chance to visit the world, the human world, and to take look around and to see who is doing what. So this is a special time for the lay people to basically well behave. They usually go to the monastery and bring the special kind of food and offer to the monks. I think there are some kind of connection to the old traditions of offering the. This is like the harvest season. So the first thing they have, they will offer it. They call the first fruit. They offer the first fruit to the monastery, to the one who are keeping Dhamma Vinaya, and that usually create good karma, and they can offering it to their ancestor. And of course, their ancestor, seeing that the next generation are still come to the monastery, still taking up the precepts, still practicing, so they will rejoice in their marriage, and they will think, oh, yeah, now the people will come enjoy and come to, if they do good things, they will go to heaven. And if they are not coming to the monastery, they will feel sad, or now people will go to hell rather than go to heaven. So this is like a tradition. So it's very beautiful that lay people will come and offer food and thinks about their ancestor. I think this is the beautiful tradition in Buddhism, where even people pass away to next life, you still remember them and still come to the monastery and offering thing to the monastic, usually the requisite food or robes or whatever, and then dedicate that to their departed one. And of course, the monk will give some teaching and remind them of the uncertainty in life, and they also will be next in line. They will pass away, depend how many years left. So they should arouse the sense of urgency toward practice. So that is very, very nice. Okay, so I will probably finish the question that people ask. I will probably pick up the one that is connect to the last teaching I gave. Is about dependent co-arising, paticcasamuppada. So there are a few questions that people still have doubt. Okay, so I will start with the first one. The question is, in 12 links of dependent co-arising, feelings appears after 6 salayatana. 6 salayatana is 6 sense bases. But it is also in Namarupa. Namarupa is mind and material. What is the difference? Okay, so the question is about why the feelings in the sequence of the paticcasamuppada, you start with the consciousness. Consciousness give rise to Namarupa, and Namarupa give rise to 6 sense bases, and then 6 sense bases to feeling. So they'll ask what is the difference, because in Namarupa, the word Namarupa, the word mind or Nama in Pali is also, actually it means not only just mind, but also the whatever content that in the mind, or we call it, or the cetasika, the thing that arising with the mind. Yeah. So the feeling is one component of that. So why in Namarupa they already have a feelings, why they mention this again? Okay. So the question is about that. Okay, so first of all, the 12 links of paticcasamuppada is not that it happens sequentially. You know, sometimes before I study, I thought the same. I thought, okay, avijja happened first, and then sankhara, and then vijnana, and then vijnana, and then namarupa, because normally we study of the cause and effect. Usually cause come first, and then effects arise afterward. And being just totally understanding that we have, so we think things happen consequentially. The avijja arising, passing away, and then sankhara arising, passing away, and then vijnana arising, passing away, and then namarupa. It turned out that this is not the case. It's a lot of things happening simultaneously. They arise. For example, like avijja is arising the same moment as sankhara also, because avijja can condition sankhara at that same moment. They don't have to disappear first until sankhara arising. So that is one point that I want to make. So the same way, when you look at the namarupa, namarupa, 6 sense bases and feelings is arising at the same time. So it doesn't mean that in namarupa arising first and pass away, and then 6 sense bases arising, pass away, and then feelings arising and passing away. So they all happen at the same time. So it just happened that the Buddha just picked one factor that he thinks is a crucial moment. It's called like the principal condition. It doesn't mean that it's the only one, but it means that it's the major condition, the thing that we should consider. So That's why the Buddha pick up the nama rupa, because the consciousness is a mind. So when the consciousness arises, it's conditioned nama rupa. Nama in this context is mean the thing that arising with the mind, or cetasika, like feeling, intention, contact, the everything basically, the vitaka vichara, the application of thought, sustaining the thought, and all those things that also can arise with the mind, and the rupa can also arise at the same time, and then in the same moment that also have 6 sense spaces. So whether it's eye and the object of the mind, which is the sight, and then eye consciousness can also arise, and then the feeling that at the same time arise when I see whatever they feel, either present, unpresent, or neutral. And then because the Buddha want to point to the connection between the feelings and the craving, because that's the process or the principal link. Because when you have a feeling, when you have present feeling, the craving arise to grasp for more. So notice when you have present sensation, you want some more of that. Same time when you feel happiness, the mind try to grasp more of that. Maybe looking for higher and higher happiness. And then when you have a unpleasant feeling, the pain and suffering, then the mind also have a craving, so craving to get rid of that particular condition, get rid of that painful feeling. If the mind is in neutral, don't know whether it's present or unpresent, then the craving is like a delusion. Basically, don't know what to do with it. It's just basically getting along. The sense of moha, sense of cloudiness, sense of self is still there. So this is just the principal condition, the key condition for the next one that the Buddha mentioned. So that probably answered the question of that, whether the different is no different. It's just when the Buddha point, he just pick what is the most relevant in that link, and he just point out. It doesn't mean that it's arising afterward. In Pali, the condition is a variety of conditions. It's 24 of those conditions. There are some conditions that arising and passing away before it affect other things. This one being like the kamma, and the kamma they call kamma pacaya, the condition of kamma. When you act certain thing, the action is already gone, but the condition is still there. We call it kamma pacaya. That's why you can take a rebirth, because the kamma that you did from the past life, that condition is still, they can manifest when the cause and condition is proper, then the condition arise. So you take birth in the next form. So the action is already gone, but certain cause and condition can arise together, like the mind and the mind, or the chitta and the cetasika, or the component of the mind, can arise together, and they also condition each other as well. We call the sahachata, bond together, sahachata pacaya. So that is it's a little bit in detail. If you want to know in detail, you can study. There's a book by Bhikkhu Bodhi, translation. This one in detail about the factor. Okay, so that is about question from last times. And let's see, what is another one? Okay. Okay, this is about the Ajahn. In medical terms, we define a fetus being viable at 24 weeks. Thus, abortion is allowed prior to that. But in Buddhism, a life is formed when consciousness enters the fetus from day one. So they asking about when the consciousness merge with the material quality. So the Buddha say in the to get rebirth, you need certain condition that the father have to be with the mother, and the mother have to have basically in the range of fertility. In Pali, it's called rudu. Rudu means she still have the menstrual cycle. Her uterus still capable of nourishing the baby, and then father and mother have to stay together. Basically, they have to have a sexual intercourse, and then that is the physical part. But there are another one factor, which is called the kantappa. Kantappa means the one who is going from the kamu mean come, or the one who are going. So that this component is referred to the beings that will take rebirth, which means that they have the previous karma that connect to this particular couples. So the fact that you born with these particular parents, with your mother and father, it doesn't happen by chance. It's, you have certain karma connection to them. So when these things come together, the eggs from the mother and the sperm from the father, they're basically fertilized. And then another factor is the being that need to take joy together, and that create the new life. So in the sutta, the Buddha elaborate on they call the galala. The galala is probably the same root as cell, galala, and then it's become proliferate into the getting thicker. The Buddha described it's like the tip of the hair, and then when you some oil that stick with the tip of the hair, and you basically strip it, and then whatever left there is very small amount, and then that getting thicker and thicker, basic kana, and then become the Panchasakha, mean they have to branch out 5 of them. So one become the head and the arms and legs. So this process taking about a week. So and then probably match with the present knowledge of embryology, where we know that when the sperm and eggs put together, they call zygote, and then embryo, and then is proliferate into basically human beings. Story. So it's exactly happened before what we call fetus. See in the term of living beings, it depends on what you're going to do with it. In law, they have certain definition of being, because they consider people beings when they come out of the mother. So they're not considered before that. It's some kind of some problem with the law, because otherwise, if you not define like this, then the abortion would consider murder, because it would be criminal charge, because you kill living beings. So that's why they have to make definition after the baby born and survive. But in Buddhism, it's you can see clearly that it start early. The fact that the cells start to proliferate, I think there's already there are some being there, a being who can sense things. You can tell that that particular cell, they already start to react, moving toward the nutrient, stay away from anything that harmful. So they already have kind of subjective feelings in there. So that probably means that the beings is already merged, all these mental and material and become a new person already. So that's why in the Vinaya, one of the rules of the monk, the Parashika, the defeated one, is to kill human beings. So it's very clear, for example, that if somebody consults the monks and all the monks making the medicine for people to have abortion, then that considered Parashika, because that they consider human beings. And if the monk be part of that, then consider you breaking this precept, and we no longer be a monk, we do like that. So we have to be very careful when people consult to us about what to do with the baby. Maybe they don't want the baby or whatever, and they maybe consult. If you say anything and they go and do abortion, follow your recommendation, then we will incur the Parashika offense. So that in terms of religious, the life starts when it's pretty early, when all these components come together. Okay, so that's another question. Okay, another one is about Brahma Vihara. The question is, when one tries to cultivate loving kindness, should one focus on mastering metta, level 1 to 7, before moving on toward Karuna, Mudita, and Upekkha? Or should one cultivate all four simultaneously? What are the advantages and disadvantages between the two methods? Okay, so the question is about how to practice metta, and the sequence of practicing metta. In the traditional way of explaining metta, we have the step-by-step. Usually with the metta is the first step, because it's a you can create metta. Metta is like friendliness. When you create some connection, you not see anybody as enemy. It's the opposite of enemy. Basically, you see everybody as a friend, the one who are the living beings who facing the same difficulty as you are. They are also subject to birth, old age, sickness, and death. So they are friends in this category. We are friends in old age, sickness, and death once we born. So there are some connection there. So it's almost like the object is everybody. Of course, everybody are subject to this. So we are friends on that level. So it's pretty easiest one of these four. That's why they recommend you to practice it first. So you can create spreading the friendliness toward anybody, because anybody that born will grow old, sick, and die. So with that in mind, you can make some connection with that beings and then spread loving kindness. So the traditions usually start with ourselves, because we love ourselves the most. And then slowly moving up, usually toward the one that we care most, or the one who are easy to make that connection, like our teacher, our parents, our friends, and the one who are we love. Usually start from the one close to us and go all the way. And then after we spread to the one who are we love, and then the one who are neutral, the one who doesn't seem any connection, maybe the one who work in the gas station, or the one who the cashier in the supermarket, or whatever, the one that you don't have any thing that you know about them. So it's kind of next step. And then when you get strong enough, you can spread metta to your consider your enemy. So that is a natural process. But that process is usually recommend and practice in the Buddhist Buddhist culture, usually usually the sequence. But in the West, it seems to be, people seem not to like themselves, for some reason, maybe because of the upbringing or maybe previous religion, so much emphasis on original sin or whatever, not clear. But when you say about, okay, spread metta toward yourself, then sometimes they can't do it. They feel self-hatred, that they're not worthy of loving themselves. So so in the West, maybe it's easier for them to maybe spread the loving kindness to maybe the animal first, right? The pets, dogs and cats, things that they like. And then when they have enough metta, they can, afterward, they can turn toward themselves. So that kind of practical things. I think part of it because in the like Buddhist country, when we practice metta, it's like the whole culture, the whole connection. We're not seeing ourselves as individual, separate from other things. In the Buddhist culture, if you have the web of interrelated supporting condition. So when we spreading metta towards ourselves, that means actually the whole tradition, the whole community, the whole upbringing of that particular person. So because if you're in the Buddhist country, you're part of this ritual, this tradition, and it's like you're in one of those web, and you're so lucky that you benefit from this teaching. So you're not really separate from other being, and actually you feel so lucky that, okay, because I grow up in this culture, and the fact that I have a chance to learn about metta, about connection, it's very beautiful. It's like you are representative of your whole community, where you are your front line of understanding things. So you send of gratitude, you send of connection to other beings, because it's not only starting from you yourself. You start from probably the Buddha, the fact that he strives so hard to learn and to master everything, and he able to teach the Dhamma, and the Sangha, who are very high standard of practice, and the whole community that support that Sangha. Maybe your great grandmother putting the food in a monk's bowl, and with that condition, now you are be born in the same situation. You are benefit from that because the teaching is still available, and you happen to be able to bring yourself closer to Dhamma, and basically able to sit there at that moment and make connection. So the sense of the whole connection was there. So I think that's why in Buddhist country, we in many ways we have that sense of worthy of the self, worthy of being loved, and being able to give love to other people, because we already received that. We are like the only the people who only can love because they are beloved before. So if you grow up in Buddhist country, you just say like how lucky we are. We have a Buddhist Buddha, the Sangha, the whole community to support the one who practice. Normally, if you spreading metta, loving kindness, you're probably in the monastery somewhere, and that monastery is being well supported by the lay people, and you live out of generosity of people around you. You're not basically just one individual who are just practicing out of the blue. It's not like in the West. In the West, it's different. In the West, it's approaching from individual. They say themselves as individual. I'm doing my practice. I don't have anything to do with anything around me. It's like a self-help. I want to I want to make connection to this. So it's just difficult because they don't have any tradition that build up. They don't have a ritual culture to connect them with the web of supporting. So in a way, they feel separate, sometimes alienated from their culture. So it's very difficult to practice in that kind of situation. And sometimes with maybe some previous knowledge of unworthy of things, it's also connect to their own sila, their own practice, whether they can look at themselves, how do they related to the society, and all those background about what we think or like original sin. I think that the previous tithi or the belief that they have in their previous tradition. So that's why in Buddhism it's just more, I would say, more easier to do that. But from the West, you probably have to do some more exercise to create some kind of sense of community and sense of I be part of something that's bigger than myself. In Buddhism, well, you go to the monastery, you support the monastery, you know that even when you die, the monastery will go on. People use that as a place for practice, and it's to joy in your heart, but you don't have that, then I think it's very difficult. You just live with just a sense of only me and my, this is I'm doing because I want to be better, and self-help just individual try to practice. It's just very dry and doesn't create any sense of warmth and heart. So I think maybe one way is to find a community that you can associate with and maybe pay more attention to the rituals and tradition. It's not just the shell. The shell also have a meaning in it, because the fact that tradition is still thriving because of this protective shell. So sometimes we have to pay attention to that aspect as well. The fact that we pay respect to Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, take the precept that make connection. See that we create some mental connection to the Buddha, to the Dhamma, to the Sangha, the whole noble lineage. So we bow with that respect, with that gratitude to the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. And we take the training at our level, being 5 precepts, 8 precepts, but that creates some connection. We're not practicing it alone. We are in this together with many people. So that sense of connection usually help in terms of create a sense of friend in Dhamma. So yeah, so you probably have to look at your background and see whether you can find some connection to the Dhamma, to the community of practice. That will help you create a safety net, like security, where you can fall back to. You're not passing it alone. We are the team. We do it together. So we do this metta. The metta is the object of loving kindness. Can be anybody, any living being, because everybody wants the happiness, want to stay away from suffering. The karuna, the compassion, the object have to be in suffering or in pain. So you want to, the karuna means you want to get rid of that pain. So you spread that. So you have to, it depends on the situation. When the other side is maybe got some illness, they lost a job or whatever, and then you can use the compassion. Compassion here is mean that you feel connected. You want to help in any way. How can I help? Your mind is moving toward the suffering of other beings. You move toward try to help them as best as you can. So that karuna. And the mudita is the opposite. Is when you see people are basically got some whatever, some wealth or some health, anything that good. So you spread mudita to that particular person. Mudita is opposite of jealousy. If you, I mean, these days with these social media things, I think this is a big problem now because sometimes when we see some people want to show off somehow, before they eat, they take a photo, and if you not pay attention to your own mind, you might feel competitive. How can my friend live in such a very seem to be perfect things, and look at me, I'm poor me, and then the sense of jealousy come with this social media. So if you spread mudita, then you feel rejoicing in that particular moment. Yeah, they're happy. Yeah, they want to actually the fact that they want to share their happiness is already that means that they think as a friends, and usually friends will enjoy the happy moments of friends, right? So we should take that in mind that okay, they want to share that happy moments, and why should I should just happy for them. They work hard maybe, and they're able to be successful at that level, and I can appreciate that and take joy in their happiness. So that is mudita. So this karuna and mudita depend on the situation of other people. If they are either they are in pain or they are happy, so you have to pick the right response. If they are pain, then you use the karuna, compassion. If they are happy, then you use the mudita. So this metta, karuna, mudita is basically how you relate to other living beings in the world. So you can practice. I don't think you have to do it in sequence. Of course, the metta is probably easiest because you don't have to wait until they are in pain or they are happy. The metta can do anytime, but the compassion and the mudita is kind of more specific. They have to be either in pain or happy, and then you can use that accordingly. But these three is the beginning. You have to do these three first before you move on to the last one. Because ubekha is the ubekha that already passed the first three. So you have to have this metta, mudita, metta, karuna, mudita first, and then you do the ubekha. Ubekha is the last step. The metaphor for this is like the parents. The parents are looking at children. So of course, the first you have the friendliness toward your baby, right? When the baby born out is so friendly, and you want to play with it and all those things. So it's easier to create a natural connection, be friend with your kids. But sometimes the kid got illness, maybe cat or flu or something. So you have to use compassion. You're nursing him or her, and then you try to bring her to see the doctor. So you use the compassion. And then when your son or your daughter graduate from school, then you feel rejoice in them. Right? You not feel jealousy with your kid. You oh yeah, good. They do a good job. You graduate. So happy for you. And now when they have their own family, when they basically create the family of their own, of course you're not going to go and interfere with them. You use ubekha. So ubekha is like the last step when you raise a kid and you teach them, so they're able to navigate themselves in the world. And now it's time for you to step back and just watch them. But you're ready. If they need some help or some suggestion, you can step in and help. But if they don't, then you basically stay away. But you still with the eyes of watching and ready to help. Upekha, upa is mean approaching, ikka mean to see. So you basically you approaching, you see, you observe. You already passed through the metta, karuna, mudita, but maybe it is time for them to have the life of their own. And upekha coming from understanding the law of karma, that in the end people have to live as a result of their own karma. You can't do anything with it. Even the Buddha can't, So the law of karma is more powerful. The Buddha can't intervene. He can help, but in the end, the law of karma will basically take over. So with that, then upekha will play the role of understanding that all living beings are good, being good or bad, they receive the result of their own karma. So the upekha is almost like the last or the thing that you do. You have to pass the first three first. So the upekha is probably the one that you have to wait until you make sure that you do everything in your capacity, and then you can rest with upekha. Upekha also the one who can make sure that the three, the first three is not go overboard. If you are to metta, it might turn into attachment, and clinging happen when you attach too much to your kid or your spouse. So that no longer metta. It's become lopa. It's become greedy attachment. So that unwholesome. And also the karuna, it can go overboard. It becomes sad. When you want to help and you can't, and your mind turn into negative, depressed. I can't do anything. So upekha will basically help keep it in check. That you go too far. You can do as little as much. You don't have to basically be in pain with them. You can sense compassion, but when you go and then depressed, that not help either. You have to stay where you are, help, remain. Your equanimity or upekha will be the balance point. Also, mudita as well. Mudita can go overboard. You take joy because you're part of it. You benefit from it. Maybe your friend won a lottery. Say, oh yeah, I'll probably get some. He probably share something for me, and I rejoice. That not mudita. That is greedy mind, because you think you're gonna benefit from that as well. So upekha will come and make a check on that, and make sure that it's not go to the another direction. So this Brahma Vihara is quite very comprehensive, and it's good to understand the whole picture of it, and then you can practice accordingly. In Thailand, I think we're good at the metta and karuna because it's easy. The metta is you can make connection with anybody, so you can see Thai people are pretty friendly. Karuna is easy because that person maybe they got some calamity, some tsunami or earthquake, or their house burned down. So it's, Thai people are very good at that. Donation and things. But the second two is a bit tricky. The mudita is actually is the most easy thing that you can do, because if somebody happy, you can basically you don't have to do anything. You just rejoice in their happiness. But somehow it's difficult, because when you see somebody happy, you kind of compare to yourself, and instead of feeling rejoicing them, you feel jealous, and you don't want to be. You don't want them to earn more than you. You don't want them to have a more happy life than you. Somehow it's make you kind of depressed. So if that's the case, then you have to focus on mudita maybe more. Maybe you have to trust in the law of karma. The people who are happy now, whatever, win the lottery or anything, they have to have previous karma, otherwise they will not have that. So if you, they probably did the good karma before, now it's time for you to, rejoice in that. So this is because it's the laziest way of getting happy. Like in the old day, people go to the monastery, they do some very good thing, and usually when they come, they say motana. Motana means please rejoice in my good deeds. So it's a really nice way of sharing your merit, And people maybe they don't have a chance to go to the monastery, but they, I'm so happy with you. You have a chance to do the merit. That sense of anumotana is the same as mudita. It's the same root. Mutta means to enjoy in other beings. But actually, the real mudita is mudita when people get beyond suffering. Actually, because I think the real mudita is to be free from all the sensual pressure, because sensual pressure is the great suffering. The Buddha compares it all the time. The karma or the sense pressure, when you preoccupy with it, it brings a lot of, it has really tiny bit of pressure. Of course, if you don't have pressure, people will not addict to it, but it's not worth it, because you take a lot of time and energy, it drains you out, and you crave it for more and more. So people with sensual pressure, they're not really happy. I mean, they may have fleeting moment of joy and things, but in the long run, it's not secure to rest your happiness on the sensual world. So I think like the real mudita is when people are able to renounce the sense pressure and to seek the higher form of happiness, then it's a higher form of mudita. So in that sense, the people who renounce, who practice, is worth more of the mudita, because they are really take the step to stop creating the cause of suffering, which is usually when you entangle in this sense world. Sooner or later you create some sort of suffering, breaking the precept or whatever. So you try to step out of that and you create the long-lasting happiness, which is a happiness from practice. So that more worth of mudita. So I have that dilemma, because when you understand this, for example, like if your friend getting married, what response should you do? Like normally, your friend is so happy, right? You should express mudita toward them. Right? You just rejoice in, now they get together, they're happy. But if you think about it deeper, like the way I'm thinking, I would sometimes maybe I should feel compassion to them. I mean, they start up the family, which is, of course, in many ways it's good, but most of the time it's involved many things. When you start create the family, the householder life, and it's hard enough to maintain your own 5 khandha. Now you have to take another 5 khandha, which is your spouse, your husband or your wife. And if you have a kid, then another 5 khandha. How would that be mudita? I mean, for me, I feel like I should give compassion to them. They're heading for a lot of trap for the suffering. So I mean, this is, I think, it's not universal, but from my perspective, I usually seeing things maybe more deeper. I just feel like the real mudita is when you are renouncing the world, and if you want to ordain, I think that is real mudita, because you are renouncing the cause of suffering. But if you still headed toward creating more and more suffering, then that deserves the compassion more than anything else. Okay, so you try to do that. The Brahma Vihara. So it depends on the object, the being that you encounter, whether they are friends or they are suffering or their happiness, and you use the metta, mudita, metta, karuna, mudita accordingly. Ubekha is maybe when you realize that all the living beings are living according to their karma, then you use ubekha. Okay, so that is a advantage and disadvantage of each method that you can do. But in the end, all of this is Brahma Vihara is still connect with convention, which is the being. But in ultimate sense, the being is not there. The being is just the word that we assign to a particular group of minds and body and mind material thing that they create. So in the end, when you're talking about the Four Noble Truth, the Brahma Vihara is not part of that, because you are talking about the ultimate truth, or the truth of the Satya. In the end, is no beings, no male, no female, no you and me. It's just suffering arising and passing away. So you have to look in that framework, the framework of Four Noble Truth, rather than framework of the beings. So this is like the Brahma Vihara is like the preparation for you to have a healthy sense of beings, and you'll be secure enough to go and explore the Arya Satya, the Four Noble Truth, which is in the end it's just 12 cause of co-arising, depending origination, arising and passing away is the avijja, is the root cause of all these things. And because we have ignorance, we craving for things that doesn't worth craving, thing that is suffering, changing, nothing belong to me and mine. And when you clear your mind, your wisdom is clear, then the craving kind of shrink away. And when you're able to cut the craving, then that means you see the Nibbana and the path to Nibbana. So the Four Noble Truth is ultimate, whatever we are working toward. Brahma Vihara is basically stepping stone toward that. We have a sense of connection, sense of friend with every being. You feel secure enough to go to the next step, to look at the truth, for the Four Noble Truth. So that how the step should be. And the fact that you are lay people, if you are Buddhist, then you have a greater connection. You practice within the context of the big thing. We are almost like lineage of the whole tradition that is still there. Buddha, the teaching, the Sangha, and we part of it more or less. And it's not only me and myself. We are in the web of this wheel of Dhamma that supporting each other. And then hopefully by doing our work, we can help each other, guiding each other out of these 12 links of cause and condition, this vicious cycle of born and reborn, and go to see the Nibbana, which is the free from these 5 khandha, which is the ultimate, which is secure, unchanging, not dead because they're not born. It's unborn, therefore it's not dying. And we have a ability to see that, to understand that through the Noble Eightfold Path. And so we are part of the Eightfold Path. And so that gives us the connection to the whole Dhamma. And with that framework, when you practice, if you connect somehow to the whole thing, Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. So that will be our real refuge out of the world. So if our ancestors come out and see, now we see that we are still have connection toward Buddhism, they will be happy. So when the gate, hell, and whatever the heaven gate or hell gate, depend on where your ancestor be, but they will say they will basically rejoice in your merit, and at the same time you offer anything that you do toward them. So the sense of connection there, even they pass away, but their spirit is still with us. And whatever they do, we are part of that. We able to be here now because of them. There, that they, we are basically have certain connection. Okay, so I think that will be enough for today. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you, Ajahn, for your teaching and guidance. Let us rejoice by saying Sadhu 3 times. Sadhu, 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 Sadhu. We will now close the session with paying homage to the Triple Gem. Ajahn, would you like to please lead us?
Okay. Arahang samma samputtho bhagava buddhang bhagavantam abhivati sawakkato bhagavata dhammo dhammang namasami supatipanno bhagavato sāvaka saṅgho saṅghang namami.
Let us bow 3 times to Ajahn. First bow. Second bow. Third bow. See everyone next week.
See you next week. Okay.